It's the Happy Families Podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
You were really amazing in yesterday's podcast, Kylie. Just wonderful.
You asked me to be Poppy, but when I asked you if I was Poppy, you said I wasn't.
No, you were not Poppy. Poppy or Boppy or anything like that. You were quite sedate. Your voice still hasn't come back.
It hasn't.
This is so frustrating. Although it does sound... there might be kids listening. I can't tell you how it might sound. Sultry. Might sound sultry. Every Friday on the Happy Families Podcast, we talk about what's gone well, what hasn't. It's called I'll Do Better Tomorrow. The whole idea is we want to focus on how things are going with an intentionality to make them better. We just want our family life to be better. It's up and down. It's a seesaw. You go first this week. Your I'll Do Better Tomorrow. Is it a win or is it a loss? Have you done well or not?
Well, this is actually just a little share. The other day we were having a conversation with the kids and they were talking about how they really like the I'll Do Better Tomorrow episodes, but they get very frustrated because we don't use their names anymore.
They want to hear their name on the podcast.
They love hearing our take on life and especially the part that they play in it. And I thought that was really cool because over the years we've been very conscious about trying to give them a little bit of anonymity. And
they just want to be the star of the show.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of star of the show, somebody sent me something recently on social media. I don't really use my social media at all, but this one came through. Or maybe it wasn't someone, it was you because you're on social media much more than me. You sent me this thing or you showed me this thing and I just thought this was so cute.
Are you going to be part of the problem or part of the solution?
I'm going to be the whole problem.
I watched this about 10 times in a row.
You're going to be part of the problem or part of the solution. I'm going to be the whole problem. All right, what's your I'll Do Better Tomorrow?
It's actually just a really, really brief conversation I had with Emily the other day. We were in the car and she said, Mum, do you sometimes forget that Chanel's your daughter and just think of her as your best friend? And I said, well, I don't forget she's my daughter, but I love that she's my best friend. And I said to her, when you're a mummy, do you think that we'll be best friends? And she looked at me and she said, yeah. And then she went quiet for a second and I could just see the cogs ticking. And she looked at me and she said, you're going to be the oldest friend I have.
Right. Way to make Mum feel good.
I was kind of doing the maths and just thinking, she's the youngest of 6. I am going to be very old by the time. She said, you're going to be like Nanny's age by the time I have children. On the surface, it just seems like a really cute conversation. But at the heart of it, number one, I love the fact that she recognises that there is this beautiful relationship that I get to have with her big sister. And secondly, that she's looking forward to being able to have that relationship. This has been something that I've had to work really, really hard at. I didn't have that growing up. I didn't have the closeness with my mum like I would have wanted. And so in some ways, I could almost fall back on the fact that I didn't really have a role model to show me how to do things, how to make this work. But over the years, as you and I have been extremely intentional about how we choose to parent our children, that's been at the forefront of everything I do. And I remember a little while ago kind of thinking, we've obviously done it all wrong because girls get to an age where they just use mum as a punching bag.
They're going through that adolescent stage and you think, I've lost my child. Like, who is this demon inhabiting my child's bedroom?
And it's heartbreaking and it is so hard as a parent to not take it personally. But as our 3 eldest, obviously now adults, have kind of gone through that stage and come out the other side, just have these beautiful relationships with these older girls and the younger girls are watching it. A little while ago, baby number 3, Ella, she looked at Chanel and she actually said to her, are you and Mum best friends or something? And Chanel was like, yeah. And at that point, Ella was still trying to work out where I fitted into her world. And just that conversation she had with her big sister literally changed everything. Because up until that point, Ella wasn't sure how much she wanted me to play a part in her life at that point. And to recognise that her other sister saw me in such a light gave her a different perspective. And literally things changed from that moment on.
There is hope if you're a parent whose kids are driving you crazy and you're wondering, how am I going to get through this? There's hope. And as the kids get older and age into adulthood, leave the nest, life just gets better and better. It really, really does. I love every stage for different reasons. Even our 14-year-old. I really love so much about what she's going through. But it's really taxing at certain ages as well. But as they age into adulthood, it's just delightful. So glad you shared that. Speaking of Emily and her observations, she said to me the other day, hey, Dad, you need to say this to Mum. And I said, what am I saying? She said, you need to say, are you okay? Like, have you recovered? Did it hurt? And I said, why would I say that to Mum? And she said, you just have to say it. So I'm going to say it to you right now. Are you okay? Have you recovered? Did it hurt?
What are you talking about? What did I have to recover from?
When you as an angel fell from heaven to come to be on earth with me.
Oh,
That's what she told me to say to you.
she comes out with the craziest things.
How good is that?
She's so beautiful.
And now I'm getting all weepy about it.
Oh, there's going to be a whole heap of people out there gagging right now. So do tell me, what is your I'll do better tomorrow? Do you have any cute things for me?
No, I don't. I'm going to sound really self-centered in saying this, and I'm going to say it anyway. Over the last few weeks, I've been making a big deal about how I'm really trying to prioritize, be more present, change things up, and just get things going the right way. During COVID, I had this incredibly good routine where I was able to be so present because I was doing all the right stuff in the right way, and I've let it go over the last little while, but over the last few weeks, I'm pulling it together so well. And I'm on a real high.
I'm so glad you're on a real high. And I'm so glad that you're trying to get balance, because what happened the other day, I think I got a phone call to say, I've done everything right today, except I didn't pack my shoes. What did I have to do?
Yes.
That just created a little bit of imbalance to my day.
Yeah. So I drove all the way down to Brisbane to present at a wonderful school. We had an audience of about 350 parents. And I realized about an hour and a half before I had to be on stage that I forgot my shoes.
I may have rung Chanel to have a whinge. And she may have said,
because she's your best friend.
If that was my husband, I would be telling him to just go and buy some shoes.
Yeah, you did. You told me to. But the shoes that I wear are really, I really like my shoes. I didn't want to go and buy a cheap pair of shoes when I've already got 4 pairs of shoes. Not necessary. So
why do we have 4 pairs of shoes?
Because I forgot my shoes on another trip.
On another trip,
Let's
just add a couple more.
Oh, no. I've got 2 pairs of brown shoes because
they don't need to know.
I forgot my shoes. Well, they know now. There we go. Actually, there was that time in Melbourne where I went to buy some shoes because I'd forgotten my shoes. Actually, I didn't forget them. My shoes had a blowout. I knew that they were on their last legs, but they had a blowout. And I was walking around Melbourne trying to find a shoe shop, but everything was closing up. It was end of business, and I only had an hour till I had to present, like 6:30 or something. I found some guy and asked if I could buy some shoes somewhere. Did you know where a shoe shop was that might be open? And he said no. And then he offered to sell me some contraband, some drugs. He was a drug dealer. And I said, no, I just need some shoes. And he said, well, you could buy mine. I looked at his shoes. They were quite new looking. And I said, what size are they? And they were my size. I said, how much? He told me how much. I said, okay, I'll buy the shoes. I don't know what he laced them with, but I was tripping for days.
I can't believe you found a way to weave that in.
I'm so sorry. Here's my I'll do better tomorrow now that you've taken me on all those tangents. So I've got this really great routine that's working really well, except when I have to pack up and go places and forget my shoes. But what I'm finding is, so I wake up in the morning and I do my reading. I've got all the, like this.
I just had this brilliant idea.
Am I ever going to get through my I'll do better tomorrow?
I think Ev should do you a little chore chart, but it's not a chore chart. It's a packing chart.
So what I'm doing is I'm going A, B, C, D, E. I'm getting all my stuff done first thing in the morning. And because I'm doing the most important stuff first, I've got much more time to be relaxed and present with the kids, with the family, to help you out and to just be around. And I'm just loving it. I feel like I'm on a real high because getting that framework, getting that structure right, it's been absent. I mean, I'm always talking to people about the importance of structure because structure creates competence.
Can we just add not forgetting your shoes into the structure, please?
I get it. I promise I won't forget my shoes again.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
And I promise that if I do forget my shoes again, I'll buy shoes so that you don't have to drive a long way.
Wow. That's recorded.
Yeah, you've got it. for posterity. It's there forever. So anyway, my I'll do better tomorrow. I feel like all the air's gone out of my I'll do better tomorrow because I'm trying to do well and you're finding that I'm doing really badly.
No, I am giving you a really hard time about the shoes, but you actually have been doing amazing and it has made a really big difference to just the feel of our home.
Well, I'm glad that you appreciate that. I've been working really hard on it. Hey, just to wrap up, you remember a couple of months ago we did this really great interview with the Australian Children's Laureate, Sally Rippon, the author of books. She sold like 10 million, the highest selling Australian female author that we've ever had, sold like 10 million copies of her books. And following up to that, we got a voicemail from somebody who said, you taught me in that podcast not to be a book snob, and because of that, my kids are reading.
Yeah.
I've always made a really big deal about how reading is great for our kids' academic potential, academic outcomes. I've just finished reading a great book that I'm going to talk about in our upcoming Happy Families podcast, book club podcast, called Troubled by a guy called Rob Henderson. It's a memoir of foster care, family and social class. Really fascinating book. And I want to read something to you from it. It really captured me. And it's, I guess, kind of completing the circle. It's closing the circle on that thing. And because it's been a really quick podcast, I figured I've got 60 seconds to sneak it in. He said, a couple of months ago, I spoke with two of my mum's friends who asked me for advice. They view me as a responsible adult. They see someone who was honourably discharged from the military and attended top universities. This would have stunned the 17-year-old Rob to learn that someday people would look at him and that is who they see. Mum's friends were worried that their son isn't talking as much as other 6-year-olds. They, like many parents, were concerned with how smart their kid is. Should we be reading to him more? They asked me. I thought of how lonely I felt trying to teach myself how to read as a foster kid. Yeah, I replied, but not because it will expand his vocabulary. Read to him because it will remind him that you love him.
That's beautiful.
It's a great book, fascinating book, but more than anything, it highlights the stuff that we try to do in this podcast. Everything that we're supposed to be doing is to help the kids know that we love them, and they do so much better when they know that. Even my morning routine and even you driving to bring me my shoes. So thanks.
Because I love you.
The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rowan from Bridge Media. Craig Bruce is our executive producer. We'll be back on Monday. Hopefully Kylie will have her voice back.
I hope so.
We'll see how that goes. And we're going to be talking about a fascinating conversation, whether or not gentle parenting is right or wrong. Gentle parenting is under fire. That's the Happy Families podcast, back on Monday. Otherwise, for more information about having a happier family, visit happyfamilies.com.au and have a great weekend.